Hello coders, today in this video I'll show you how you can create a responsive navbar in ReactJS with pure CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's start with looking at what we're going to be building. So you see this navbar right here. This is a fully responsive navbar I've created with pure CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. If I open up my dev tools and you see you get this hamburger icon. So if you click on this hamburger, you see this is a cool transition effect and you see all your options right here. If you click on it again, all of these options disappear with a cool transition effect as well. So without wasting any time guys, let's start building it. Alright guys, so let's start with creating a React app. So I'm going to open a empty directory. So I have created this empty directory. I'm going to create this empty directory. So let's make mkdir. Let's name this resnav. Okay, and I'm going to cd into it. Cd resnav. I'm going to create a React app. So CREA create React app and call this resnav as well. So this will create a React app for me. So I'm going to pause the video and come back after this process is finished. Our React app is completed, so I'm going to switch to the working directory. So I'm going to cd res tab and open up my VS Code in it. So I'm going to type code dot and enter, and I'm going to close my terminal. This should open my VS Code on this working directory. So as you can see guys, the project is now created and I have opened it up in my VS Code. So first of all, let's start with starting the web development server. So I'm going to open up new terminal. I'm going to type npm start. This should start my development server on localhost 3000 on my web browser. Okay, so this is the template you get from the ReactJS library. So you can see that it means our project is successfully created and it is running on localhost 3000. So let's start with deleting some template files which you get from the default. So first of all, I'm going to delete this app CSS file. I'm going to delete this app test file, this index CSS file, this logo file, then these files as well. So I'm going to delete these, and yep. So okay, and I'm going to delete this file as well. So I'm going to delete this file. Cool. And let's open this file and remove this function call here as well. And I'm going to, since we have deleted these files, I'm going to remove them from the import statement as well. So okay, we are pretty much done here. Let's just comment them out. I don't want to waste your time. Okay, so in the app.css, just remove these two files as well, and let's remove this header tag. Okay, cool. I'm going to save my project and open the and refresh it. Okay, so now this is pretty much clean and tidy, so we can start our coding from the scratch. We can start this building the navbar from the scratch. Our project is now neat and tidy. We can start building it from the scratch. Okay, so first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a navbar. So I'm going to create a div with a class name of navbar. Okay, and in this navbar I'm going to create another div called with the class name of logo, and in here I'm going to say Java as scriptify Okay, and after that I'm going to create a ul element with a class name of list options, or you can say nav options. So I'm going to say nav options, and the first option is going to be my product, so products. The second option is going to be about, so let's say about. The third option is contact, and there would be another option called sign up. So these are going to be my four options out of these, and they are going to be in a class name of nav options, and this is going to be my logo. Alright, so if it is saved, let's go check it out in the browser. So as you can see, this is showing up and it's looking pretty bad. So first of all, what should we do is we should remove all these padding and these styling. So I'm going to create another file in this src directory, the new file, and this is going to be my css file. So I'm going to name it as style.css, just like that, and it is created. And I'm going to import this file into my app.js file. So let's import it. So I'm going to say import. The module is going to be style css, and we're gonna call this as default, so there would we would not need any kind of statement. Okay, so first of all, let's get rid of all these first of all, let's refresh it. So okay, so oh okay, you should add dot slash. Dot slash means in this current folder search for this file. Okay, so now if I refresh it, okay, so this is working. But first of all, what should we do is we should get rid of these default paddings and these options. So for that, I'm going to go my css file and declare a global variable just like this, and I'm going to say padding of 0, and margin of 0, and box sizing of border box. So what this will do is this will set all these default values for all the properties present in this file. So let's check it out. If I refresh it, as you can see, all the padding and the margins are gone now. So okay, so this is not looking pretty good. Let's target the navbar class. So navbar class, and give it a background color of coral. And if I now look at it, if I refresh it, so these options are now aligned horizontally, but these dots are still coming. So what we want to do is in the nav bar, I'm going to say list. Okay, no, not in the nav bar, but in the list options class. So list options class, so options class, I'm going to say list style to none. So this should work. Okay, it didn't. I think I spelled the spelling wrong. Okay, the the class name was nav options, not list options. Okay, sometimes I do this every spelling wrong. So the nav options now, yep, there those dots are gone now, but there is no padding here, there is no margin on between these two elements. So for that I'm going to say, I'm going to go to my navbar, I'm going to say justify content. So justify content, I'm going to say space around, and this should span them. Yep, as you can see, the logo is now separated and these four options are now separated, but these options are aligned vertically, but we don't want that, we want them to align horizontally. So in the list options, I'm going to say justify, I'm going to say display flex as well, flex, and this should, what this will do is this will align them vertically, I mean horizontally, as you can see, but there is no gap between these options. For that I'm going to say display the width, I'm going to set the width actually. So width is going to be 40 VW. VW means view width, and if I refresh it now, okay, so this is the width, and what we want is, I'm going to say justify content space around, and look what this do. You see, so they are now separated perfectly, and they have this gap between them as well. So but the height is pretty much bad right here. You see there is no height, so I'm going to give this navbar a height as well. So h height is going to be, I don't know, 10 vh means view height, I hope you all know. And you see we have the height, but these options are now aligned on top, okay, on top of this navbar, but we want them to be centered. So for that I'm going to say align items in the, I mean the navbar, I'm going to say align items center. As you, then you will see these options are now aligned center, you see. So this is looking kind of cool for now, but this logo is now, this logo is now the styling of this logo is not standing out. This is as same as these options, so what we want this logo to stand out. So for that I'm going to target my logo class, and in this logo class I'm going to give it the color. So color means the text color, the text color is going to be into, you can give it anything, you can give it yellowish green, yeah, that would be nice. So this, if I refresh it, okay, this is bad. So I think we should not give it any kind of color, just let's just give it a weight. So weight means the text weight, so WEI font weight of 800 would be good, and the font size is going to be large, if that can stand it out. Okay, so this is pretty good, but I think we should give it a custom size. So the custom size is going to be 3VH, I mean VH, not BH. I don't know why do I do this all the time. Okay, if I refresh it, okay, this didn't work. Let's give it a size of 30 pixels. This is not responsive, I mean this is looking kind of good, but it's not responsive. I can show you that if I open up my developer tools, and if I try to decrease the width of this page, you will see the, yep, you see all of these four options are now squished together, and if I decrease the width a bit more, you see they are kind of overlapped with each other with the logo. So we don't want that, right? We don't want that kind of effect on our page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use media queries to make this page responsive and make this navbar responsive navbar. So okay, we can do that. So as I've shown you, we will use a kind of a hamburger icon to show the options in the lower screen sizes, right? So what we want to do, we want to display a kind of a hamburger icon. So let's make that hamburger. So I'm going to create a div div what am I doing? So I'm going to create a div with a uh, class name of hamburger. So I'm going to say ham g, okay. And inside this hamburger, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a span tag. Actually three span tags. So the first one, and all of these span tags are going to have a class name of bar. So there are going to be three bars which will look like a hamburger together. So I'm going to copy this span tag right here, control plus C, and I'm going to paste two of them as well, like this. And if I save the file, so this will look neat. So now you can understand what I've done. Okay, so we have created three span tags with inside this hamburger icon, and all of these three span tags have a class name of bar. So let's go, guys, let's go to my CSS file, and in here what I'm going to do, I'm going to define a media query. So for that you should write @media screen, as maintenance is suggesting that. And media, we want this only on screens, so I'm going to say only screen, and the width. So now I'm going to define the max width of that screen which I want this to be displayed on. So max width is going to be, I don't know, 700 pixels. So whichever screen has the max width of 700 pixels, I haven't defined pixels here. Okay, so whichever screen has this have the max width of 700 pixels this file will execute all these properties which I'm going to define in here in this media query. Okay, so let's define some properties. First of all, let's target the list options. So list, oh no, there was they were the nav options. So nav options, just like this, and I'm going to set the display property of nav options to be none. So if I look at it, if I hit enter, I think, okay, so the nav options are still showing, but if I decrease the width of this screen, you see they are gone. So display property none, what that property does is it hides all the elements which have that class. Okay, so now they are gone, and what we want to do, we want to replace them with a hamburger icon right here. So for that, I'm going to target the hamburger icon. So hamburger class, just like this. And let me check the spelling. So okay, cool. So in this hamburger, I'm going to define the width of this hamburger icon to be 5 VW. As you all know, this is view width, and the height is going to be 8 VH. And let's just give it a background color of blue, just so you can see what's going on. Okay, so we have this icon, and inside this icon, what I want to do, I want to add the bars, right? So I'm going to target the bar class, and all the bars are going to have a background color of black, and let's give them a height height of I don't know, let's give it a height of what we have done, we haven't give 8 VH height, right? So for 2 to 2, Let's give it a height of 2vh, 2vh, and let's give them a of the width of the icon is 5vh, so let's give them a width of, I don't know, I think 5vw would be nice. So vw, 5vw, and let's look at what's going on. Okay, nothing is shown. Let's see why. Okay, let's get rid of the background color, I guess. Wait, let's give this a display property as well. So no, not in the bar, but the hamburger icon. So all these three bars are going to be aligned vertically. So for that I'm going to say display flex. So all of these items are going inside the hamburger. All of the three bars in the hamburger are going to be displayed as flex, and they are going to be, and I want them to be aligned vertically. So for that I'm going to say flex direction to be column. Okay, now if I look at it, so you see there is this one, actually they are pushed together with each other, and I want gap, right? I want them to be in their gap. So for that gap I'm going to say justify content space around, or you can say space between. I think I should say space between. And if I refresh, do I need to refresh? Okay, I do. So you see, let's get rid of this blue, let's get rid of this blue background. That would give us a transparent kind of vibe. Okay, so we have this hamburger kind of thing, but the height of these three bars are too big. Let's decrease the height of these bars. So the height I'm going to give it 1vh. Let's see. Okay, 1vh is too low. Okay, 1vh is too low. Let's give it a 1.5vh. Okay, 1.5 is still not looking good. I think 1vh would be fine. And let's just decrease the height of the whole icon, because it's kind of too far with each other, right? They're kind of too far. The height, I'm going to give it a height of 5vh. Let's see. Okay, 5vh is looking good. You see, this is already kind of looking like a hamburger. So, but this is not looking that cool, right? So let's give the border radius. Yeah, let's give all these bars a border radius. So border radius. Okay, border, I said border radius. Okay, border radius of, I don't know, 50 pixels. Let's see. Okay, so they have the border radius of 50 pixels. So this is looking cool. Yeah, I think it's done. I think it is done. Yeah, so if I decrease the width of this page, it will still look good, and if I increase the page width at some point, yeah, all of these four options are came back. And if I decrease the width, yep, the options are gone, and they are replaced by this hamburger icon. So pretty cool. But what about those four options? How are we going to get them? Well, we are going to use some transitions. Yep. So whenever I click on this hamburger icon, I want a div which should be appear right here in with a cool transition effect, right? So for that, what I'm gonna do is, let's get a div. Yeah. So in this list options, I'm going to, inside this media query, I have already targeted this nav options class, right? Let's give them, let's just give them a property of flex. Okay, and let's give them a margin, so ri, so let's give them a right of 0 pixels, and top, let's give them a top margin of what was the height of our navbar again? The height was 10vh, so let's give them a 10vh margin from the top. I said vh, not ch. Okay, so if I look at this again, Okay, this is not working. So wait. Okay, in the media queries, top margin of 10 VH is not working. Let's refresh it again. Okay, it's still not working. Okay, so what we need is, I think I should give it a position. Yeah, so position is going to be absolute, and this should push it down, these options down. Yep, so it's pushed so it's pushed all of these options down, so you see. Okay, so but they are now aligned horizontally, and I want them to be aligned vertically. So for that, let's give them a flex direction of column, and they are aligned vertically now, but I want them to be centered. So for that, I will say justify content center. So no, the center thing, I think. So yep, not the justify content centered. The justify content should be space around, so they are not smudged into each other. So space around, and they will expand. You'll see they will expand. Okay, they didn't. I think I haven't given them the wide width. Okay, because, well, they didn't expand because the width of this whole div, this is only the wrapping the content. That's why they don't have any kind of empty space to fill themselves. So what I'll do, I'll give them a width of well, the navbar is 10 vh, right? Let's give it 90 vh. So this will fill all the screen width. Okay, vh, and you'll see cool. So that, oh, I'm sorry, I gave it the width. I don't want the width, I want the height. I'm sorry, height. Yeah, so yep, so they have filled all of the whole width of the page, the 90%, and this is 10, I mean the 90 vh and the 10 vh, so this is 100%, I mean 100 vh, right? So let's give this width a background color, so we can clearly define, we can clearly see where the div is and where the navbar is. So let's give it a background color of brown, I guess. Let's see. So yep, so we have this background color, and let's make these options go to center right here. So for that, I'm going to say justify content space around. I've done that. I'm going to say align items center. This will align all these items center. You see, so this is looking good. I think the making process is done. So what we need is just, I think we all need just to add the transition effect, so that it can come right here and stop here and then goes right back here. So for that, I'm going to give it a transition. So transition of, I don't know, 1 second of ease. Okay, and think, okay, so now if we change the, so guys, in React, if you want something to be dynamic on your web page, it will be pretty much easy if you can access the CSS variables in your JavaScript, right? Because everything in React is in JavaScript. So what we want is, we want that whenever we click on this icon, this div should be disappeared with a transition effect, and whenever we click on it again, div should reappear with a cool transition effect as well. So for that, let's define an on-click listener on this hamburger icon. So for that, I'm going to go to my app.js file, and in this hamburger, I'm going to give it a on-click listener. So this will have an on-click listener which will call this anonymous function, and Yeah, okay. And what this will do is, what I want to do is, I'm going to say, I'm going to, well, I'm not going to do it for now. So we have defined this on click listener on this div. So let's go back to our CSS style, and what I want to do is I want to change the width. So what I'm let me show you what I'm saying. So I want to change the width of this nav options whenever I click on that icon, right? So for that, I think whenever you want dynamic values, or you or kind of values when you or kind of values that can be manipulated by the JavaScript in CSS, you should use variables, CSS variables. So I'm going to use them. So for that, I'm going to define a root class. So all these variables, or all these CSS variables, they are defined inside this root class. So I'm going to define a variable name display, display display width. Okay, and for the default, I'm going to give it the value of 0, because the width because the div will not show until you click on that icon, right? So the default value is going to be 0 VW. Okay, so, and I'm going to give this, I think I've given a width. Okay, so we haven't given any kind of width on this nav options, right? Let's give it a width. So width is going to be display width. Okay, and this display width is going to be passed as an argument in the variable function. Okay, so now this should work. Actually, this should not, these lists should be disappeared. Okay, it disappeared, but the content of this width is still here. So let's see why the hamburger, these bars, display right background, wait. Yeah, and we should define a overflow as well. Okay, overflow of hidden. Oh, I'm sorry, what the hell, HIDD hidden. So this the for so that these all of these options should be disappeared. Yep, they are disappeared. So, well, they are disappeared. So what I'm gonna do is, whenever we click on this icon, I'm going to manipulate this value, okay, this display width value. So I'm going to go to my m.js file and start recording. Okay, so what we are gonna do is, we are going to define a const variable of name r, and I'm going to target the document dot query selector, and I'm going to target the root class. So root, because, well, I'm targeting that class, this class is because I have defined those variables inside this class. Okay, so inside this class I'm going to, well, inside this function I'm going to define an if statement, and the condition of this if statement is going to be like uh, get computed style r dot get property value of the dash dash display width. And what I'm gonna say is, if this is equal to 0 VW, so the variable value, I'm talking about the variable value. So let me show you. So this value, if this is equal to 0 VH, which it is from the default, so do something. So what that something is, like, I want to say r dot style, style dot set property. So set property, and the set property, this is a function, and I'm going to pass it going to be the name of the variable I want to change the value. So hang मार गया,
क्या हो गया?
पता नहीं है, मार गया.
Oh,
So
wait.
the first value, so the first argument is going to be the name of the variable. So that is display width, and the second argument is going to be the value of that property. So if it is 0 VW, set it to 40 VW. Okay, so 40 VW, and I think we should test it. So let's test it out. So if I refresh it, and if I click on, 1 second, okay, if I click on it now, well, that didn't work. Okay, let's see why that is. I think I spelled something wrong. So display width 0VH. Okay, yeah, I have actually the default value was 0 VW, but I said 0 VH, so that's why it didn't work. But now it should. Okay, it didn't. Okay, I spelled the display wrong. DISPLAY, display. I do lots of spelling mistakes when I code. So you see, when I click on it, that transition effect happened, and you see all your options. And if I click on it again, nothing happens. It didn't go back. So for that, I'm going to say, inside this function, I'm going to say else, else. I'm going to copy this line, and I'm going to paste it right here. So else, if the value is anything else than 0 VW, then set the property value of this to be 0 VW. That's it. I think this will work. You see, so if I click on it, this disappeared. If I click on it again, it appears. If I click on it again, it disappears. So that's it. That's it for this video, guys. If you like the video, then please hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like these, then please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, goodbye.